Can you hear that? Flower of Scotland being sung. I'm not missing the game. That's just a little sound test before the main event happens later, Scotland against South Africa. But I want to talk about Ireland on this video. Finally got a little window of time to chat about the world #1 team Ireland. And I've been desperate to do this since yesterday. So thank you very much for your patience. Firstly, if you enjoy the content on the channel, all the fan reactions, getting to see a bit of France, hopefully I'm peeling back the curtain for you in a way that you might not get from the telly and newspapers and stuff. And that's what I'm hoping, that you're enjoying me taking you on the journey. I'm loving the comments, loving the interaction, and I really appreciate it. So hit subscribe on the channel, leave your comments, and put the thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm. So if you enjoy the content, that would really, really help. So yes, why haven't I been able to do a video about Ireland till now? Because I've basically, it feels like living in a washing machine. I've been non-stop for the last 2 days. I'm not complaining, it's been brilliant. But when you go into games, you've got to get to team runs, to press conferences, you've got to do interviews on the radio, got to do a radio show, which I've just finished doing. And you've got to get to games, edit stuff, all the rest of it. It is non-stop. So finding time to stop, and yesterday there were 4 games. And so finding time to, give attention to each is pretty tough. But anyway, I've got a window now, so let me not waste any more time. Let me talk about Ireland. I would say workmanlike, up and running, job done, no injuries. Crucially, we've seen other countries have some significant injuries, and Ireland have got guys like Dan Sheehan out, coming back, but no fresh injuries. And I thought it was an impressive performance. The context being that Romania are clearly a very poor team, and I think that result, firstly, sort of puts to bed some of the talk around expanding the competition. It's not ready yet. We need to focus on making sure we arrive at future World Cups with 10 teams, let's say, that could realistically win the tournament rather than half a dozen. And that would be the first step before we then think about expanding the competition, because this was a mismatch. That said, Ireland can only play what's in front of them, and I thought they did it impressively. The fitness really impressed me. The fact they kept going. Well, that made a bit of a statement. It was a shot across the bows for the rest of the pool. They were not messing about. They weren't cruising, never taking their foot off the gas. And I think that's one of the things that happens when you have a 33-man squad that is of such quality that you're not on it, you won't play in the big games. And there was a great example of that, Bundee Aki. What a performance. And again, the context that you will obviously bring up is he's playing against Romania. You can only play what's in front of you, and he was very, very impressive. And I was asking on a video in the build-up when the teams were announced, what's the inside centre situation like? I know Robbie Henshaw can cover 12 and 13. Who's likely to start? It's interesting. I wonder if, maybe Bundee Aki is the man who's going to be starting in those big games. He certainly put down a marker. I thought Tadhg Beirne was relentless, as he always is. That guy's engine is unbelievable. And the warhorse, Peter O'Mahony, loved the sign. Who's watering Peter O'Mahony's lawn? That was wonderful. Who is watering Peter O'Mahony's lawn? He's going to have some work to do when he gets back. Those edges aren't going to cut themselves. Those bushes aren't going to prune themselves. He'll be busy when he gets back, but will he be busy with a World Cup winners medal around his neck? That is the challenge for the warhorse. But he was war god. Sorry, he was absolutely immense. And a little nod to his Munsterman. Actually, I don't know. Is Zombie by the Cranberries? When I hear that song, which was great to hear in the stadium, wasn't it? It's such a good tune. It was great to hear. But when I hear that, I think of Munster. Am I right? Have I got that right? I don't know where the Cranberries are from, but I think it's because I was at the, I know they play it at Thomond Park, and I was at the Champions Cup. It wasn't semi-final, was it quarter-final against Toulouse last year? And the game was, because of it, was it an Ed Sheeran concert meant that the game was at the Aviva Stadium, and they played Zombie, and honestly, it was goosebumps. It was incredible. So I love that. What can I say? That's all the stuff off the pitch going. Oh yeah, another element. Talk about fitness. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the fitness and the condition that the referee was in? There was one point. Was it Gary Ringrose made a break? And the referee looked like he was just strolling alongside Gary Ringrose, straining at full pace. That ref has got some wheels. Someone get him signed up. He should be playing for a team, not referee in the game. That was genuinely quite impressive. Back to the actual rugby. Ireland just couldn't do much more than they did. Comprehensive win, their second biggest ever winning margin. The biggest was against the USA, I believe. I've seen someone write this morning when I was reading it. Yeah, they just couldn't do much more. And there was some impressive performances. I talked before the game that this felt like a bit of an audition potentially for Joe McCarthy. Could he get a starting job for that South Africa game? Because I did wonder maybe this team was selected with South Africa in mind, with high levels of physicality and Tadhg in the back row, an extra big body, and whether that and Josh van der Fleer or Peter Amani or whoever it is, bringing their impact from the bench, just as South Africa had the bomb squad. I did wonder, and I think Joe McCarthy definitely justified his place in the squad, no question, and has put his hand up for a starting job. This is what I like about this Ireland team. There's a changing of the guard. You can see beyond this World Cup, there's a lot of these guys are not going to be part of Ireland's future in the years ahead. And this is the final chapter for a few of them, but possibly with the exception of Johnny Sexton, who kind of is head and shoulders above any of his competition. In the other positions, you can see where the next cabs off the rank are coming from, and some of them are already starting to naturally take those spots. When you look at Joe McCarthy, you look at Ryan Baird, and then Cian Prendergast, guys that aren't even in the squad, you see that, and that's what I find impressive about Ireland. I think I've said this on other videos, it's not going to be a 15-man effort on the pitch that wins a World Cup final, that wins a World Cup. It's not going to be a 23-man squad on a match day. The World Cup is going to be won by the best 33-man squad, because the attrition rate is high, the conditions are tough, and the ability to have quality and depth is absolutely massive. And particularly in these key games, Scotland play South Africa today. You can see there could be a couple of players that aren't available for the Ireland game off the back of this game, and it will be the same, when Ireland play South Africa, and then that final pool game when Ireland play Scotland. This pool in particular is brutal, the level of physicality, and I thought the Irish squad did manfully. They did some unreal things actually. Bundee Aki, again, to sort of end where I started, he did some unreal things. Loved it. Ireland were focused, determined, fit. The conditions look oppressive. The players were like dripping with sweat when they came off. And and it was a comeback win, wasn't it? Ireland showed they can come back. They can go points down and come back. It was nice at least that Romania got the try, but they've got a long way to go, haven't they? Loving the World Cup so far. Loving having your support on the channel. So thank you very much for it. If you haven't already, I'm really hoping I earn your subscription, and that I'll see you on the next one.